Alright, we are here with part 60 of Condensed Chaos by Phil Hine. I reckon we got about 70 parts here. So yeah, about 10 more and we are finito. Now we're still in the use of voice, witches, wizards, warlocks, magicians, magus, and magi. Let us continue. Now the feeling of being carried comes from the structure that rhythm gives to our time sense, and the pattern gives a sense of continuance. It becomes a motor attitude, and one's attention is freed if this is desired. Rhythms are everywhere around us, and chants and songs reflect this fact and bring us towards an enhanced sense of participation in the world. During invocation, the way in which we deliver speech is different from our usual habits of talking in that there may be an enhanced deliberateness in our enunciations, or greater care taken in projecting the subtle nuances of emotion, awe, ecstasy, gentleness, or martial prowess. Whether our words well up unbidden from the deep mind or have been carefully linked together in prolonged brainstorming sessions, it is highly likely that we will try and find a certain distinct rhythm around which to frame our words. The deep mind often speaks to us in verse. Cross-cultural studies of the vocal patterns of people in the throes of possession show a striking similarity. A rising and falling intonation at the end of each phrase punctuated by a pause or groan. This pattern emerges regardless of native language and of cultural background. The English version of this rhythm is known as iambic pentameter. You can hear it in the frenzied oratorical deliveries of evangelical preachers, and in the apparently meaningless gush of words from those who have been seized by the Holy Spirit. It wells forth from the deep mind as unconscious or deity-inspired poetry and communications. As the deep mind calls to us with a particular rhythm and meter, so do we attempt to call into the depths of our being by rhythmically pulsing our speech. Sound, like light, sets up rhythms in our brains, as experiments with electroencephalographs (EEGs) have shown. These internal rhythms reflect the sounds which propel us into varying degrees of trance, whether it is the gentle watery lapping of the moon or the thundering frenzy of Pan. If we are caught off guard and susceptible, their effect can be devastating. When designing invocations, rhythm and delivery should be considered. If you design a verbal invocation for Ra Horkuit, you would consider how you want the qualities and power of the god to be reflected in your voice. A strong, martial rhythm might be appropriate, perhaps repetitive, calm, and confident, with a sense of gathering power. How do you think the god would speak? It's a safe bet that he wouldn't mumble, stammer, or say between sentences. He wouldn't say yeah, nah, that's for sure. Some beautiful invocations appear in magical textbooks, but the best kind of invocation is the one that works for you. Words spoken confidently from the heart will be more effective than half-remembered lines from a book. Although you can get good results reading invocations, unless you have a lectern to put the book on, it is difficult to wave your hands around, which can negate the use of gesture to reinforce what you are saying. Gestures and postures reinforce other elements of invocation. A key element of invocatory practice is learning to associate postures and gestures with appropriate emotions and sensations. The use of postural shifts is fairly easy to grasp. The neutral posture. Find a posture which, for you, reflects a sense of calm readiness for action. You should be relaxed, attentive to what is around you, and prepared, but not tensed, for whatever is going to happen next. You should be able to find a standing and a sitting posture. Lying down is not recommended though, as it is difficult to spring into action from a prone position. This posture represents you at your axis mundi, the mind at rest. Finding this posture is useful, as it is the posture which you can move in and out of to demarcate between different magical acts. For example, In the assumption of God forms described above, you would move out of this posture and take on the posture of the entity you are invoking upon yourself and back into it when you have finished. How might your body posture change when you invoke an entity into yourself? Most entities have a characteristic posture. However, if you don't have its characteristic posture, you can decide on one in advance. As you experience a change in perception, your body posture will change in ways of which you may not, at first, be wholly aware. An enhanced feeling of confidence and poise tends to draw your shoulders back and your head up. Your chest cavity will expand as you breathe deeply and slowly. Your limbs will be further away from the center line of your body. Standing with your feet apart and your arms spread upwards and outwards, for example, is the classical posture for invocation. You are extending your body space to its limits, making yourself vulnerable. Conversely, standing with your arms folded across your chest and your head bent slightly downwards is the classical posture for closing after works of magic, as you close yourself off to external influences. We've got a little picture here, man doing the star jump. There he is. Alright. Hope you enjoyed that. That is the end of today's read. We will be back with, we're going to talk about mask magic, principles of the mask work. We're going to get into some animals, faces, face painting, on that Shaka Zulu vibe. Alright, we'll see you all tomorrow.